Some of his stories are fit for off the radio. The ones for radio are still great. Skip Burtman loves talking about that 86 team. One of the aces on the staff was Gregg Patterson. Patterson was he was playing on the 86-87 team out of Ascension Parish, out of EA. He was also a baseball coach on Smoke staff that he talked about trying to recruit you out of Woodlawn. Thought that they had a chance at you when yesterday I was setting up the interview. Greg, good morning. How are you, man?
Good, man. How you doing, Jordy?
Doing good. Tell me the story about Durbin, trying to get him out of high school.
Oh, man. It was
So you were on Smoke staff?
I was on Smoke staff. I helped recruit. I was the recruiter, and I think Chad was a junior. You'd go early, and I thought I had him, because he was a kind of late bloomer, and then everybody found out about him. LSU got on him, and then he got drafted. But yeah, I remember it was I think it was 95. I don't know. He probably knows better than I know.
Ben Sheets and I came up to Monroe.
That's right.
Together.
Yep. We got Ben.
We ended up stinking. We were terrible.
But yeah, that was two pretty good arms, to make a staff. But yeah, Chad ended up signing.
So Greg, two pretty good coaches in college baseball is Skip Burtman, obviously, and then Mike Martin at Florida State. And these two guys have been very influential and very instrumental in bringing college baseball to the mainstream. A lot of people down here recognize Skip and Ron Polk over at Mississippi State as kind of being the guys in the SEC that brought baseball to where it is now in the conference. But that 86 team, you guys were awesome. You guys were so much fun. But really, Skip traveled you guys over to Tallahassee with Martin. Was that in between the regular season and the conference tournament? When you guys, okay, so you go ahead. Don't let me walk all over you.
No, when you called me, I was thinking about it. I said, I'm trying to remember this. So this was unbelievable. I'm trying to figure out, no coach would ever do this today, how many games we played. We finished the regular season into the next week's SEC tournament. We hosted at Baton Rouge. We played Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, the regional at that time, I don't know why, but it was 2 weeks away. It wasn't that Thursday coming, but the following Thursday. So he's trying to get some games. We can't sit out 10 days without playing.
Mm-hmm.
So we play Alabama. I guess we know we're going to be in the regional. Alabama's going to be in the regional. So we schedule a 3-game series on Saturday, Sunday, because we used to play 2 7s and a 9. So Alabama comes in. Well, in the meantime, ESPN wants to do this number 1 against number 2 game in Tallahassee on TV, Monday night baseball. And Coach, like you said, trying to promote baseball. We're trying to get where Florida State's at. We're trying to get where the Oklahoma State's, the Texas. We're trying to build the program and get the name out there. Even though we were ranked number 1, it was early on. So I'll never forget. So this is the Monday before the regional starting on Thursday, which we're going to host now. So we play 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday, and Monday we go to Tallahassee on a chartered flight. But we thought we were something. A chartered flight in 1986. I could tell you there was 40 people, coaches and kids who've never been on a chartered flight before. So we didn't know what to expect. We get to the Baton Rouge, and we take off from the airport, and we got this big old plane that's got 2 propellers, not a jet plane. We get in there, and the air condition halfway works. We hit bad weather. Papa John tells that story a little bit. I think it's a little bit exaggerated, but we finally get there, and it's storming. So we're like, holy cow, we flew all the way over here. We're not even going to play the game. But they said, no, the weather's going to break. So there's no wind field, no batting practice. We sitting there. I remember in the football locker room, and the tunnel goes across or whatever to the baseball field. So we get the dugout about 45 minutes before the game. The clouds break, and we play. They ended up beating us 6-4. But the funniest thing is just funny because I was telling this how we got talking about this. Guthrie's going to pitch the first 3. It's set. I'm going to pitch the middle 3, and Barry Manuel's going to pitch the last 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they giving a car away if somebody hits a grand slam. And in the 5th inning, this is funny. I remember like it was yesterday. I load the bases. I'm the only one. And they start rattling these keys. It's about 4,000 or 5,000 fans there. And today's funny. Nobody has car keys. They got those pads. They couldn't have done it. Yeah. So it sounded like Mississippi State rattling the bells. I'm getting ready to give a car away if I give up a grand slam. This is just, I get out the inning to make the long story short, but I'll never forget that. But that was so funny. I mean, I loaded the bases, and I mean, the people just went nuts. They really had a chance to win the car.
Did you guys feel it at the time that you were kind of like breaking through like the sport college baseball? I mean, like Skip was kind of bringing you guys. I guess the number one team in the country kind of gave the number behind the feeling of it, but y'all were right there.
Yeah, the players we had. I mean, we had a lot of talented guys. I mean, it was unbelievable with Guthrie and Barry Manuel and Bell and Jack Voigt and Rebelay. I mean, we just had a lot of guys who just hadn't been there. We were very talented, and that long year, we get to the World Series, and I think you just get tired, and it's just very trying on you. And you're trying to do it. You're trying to, and we just ran out of gas, I guess. But like Coach always said, you got to go. You got to go there. You got to experience before you can win it. And we went 3 or 4 times, and the Florida State was the school. Everybody knew Florida State baseball and Miami baseball and Texas baseball and Oklahoma State. They didn't know about LSU. And, I think that's part of the reason why he had to go. We had to go take that trip and play that game on TV. And, it's just that's what he was about, promoting LSU, promoting college baseball, and promoting LSU. It was a great experience. I mean, I think they had 3 or 4 big leaguers on that team, which was, and then the next year in '87, we actually played Florida State, and that was another. We played them in the Superdome and the Winn-Dixie, whatever.
That was the best.
Challenge.
The Winn-Dixie Classics. Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah. The funniest story about the Florida State game, Richie Lewis is pitching against us. He strikes out 17 that day. They beat us 2-1, and my only at bat of my junior year, Coach puts me in, bought a pinch hit, and I batted out of turn, but I struck out. So I mean, that's a true story. Coach might never tell you that, but if I would have actually got a hit, I'm sure I'd have been called out. But I struck out, so it was fine. They didn't.
I was about to ask, does that count for 2 outs?
Yeah, it should have. That's unbelievable. Nobody really knew it, but we knew it after that bat. So nobody was going to say anything, and they surely weren't because I just struck out. So. But then we played them in the World Series in '87 that year, and with Richie Lewis, and that was the game that we went in 1-0 going into the 9th, and they hit the home run to tie it. Then we ended up winning it in the 10th, and it was crazy.
Coach, this is Chad.
Hey man.
Hey, have you ever gone back on YouTube and watched like the College World Series highlights? Remember they used to have them the week before the World Series until about 10 years ago. You can go back and watch the highlights, and 87, 88, 89, 90, you get to the Lau Mouton walk-offs, you get Albert Bell, all that stuff. And that kind of set the tone. You look at it now, you get to step back 25, 30 years later and think about what that's done for baseball and sports in Baton Rouge. And I moved down here in 1990, and my mom said, I think the LSU baseball team's pretty good. We're going to live in Baton Rouge, not Lafayette. And I mean, just drinking from a fire hose after that. I mean, every little kid that loves baseball's dream. It was, you kind of set that tone with your teams then. And reflecting back on that, when you see, because you see names on the back of jerseys now, and it's the kids of players that you played with, and that's a cool moment for anybody when our kids grow up and they get recruited and stuff like that.
Sure.
That's really cool. And what do you think about that, and what it did for baseball down here?
Well, you hear Coach tell those stories. I mean, what's unbelievable, Chad, now is that our high school fields in Baton Rouge, you go to some of the nicer places and parks with turf, and you see some of the complexes. They're nicer than the stadiums or the fields we went play at in SEC.
100%.
I mean,
including the box.
But the box, at least we had a big concrete stadium. It looked like a stadium. It wasn't just bleachers. I mean, I can remember going – now, you look at Ole Miss's facility now, probably one of the nicest in the country. I mean, it was wooden bleachers, one behind the first base dugout, one big one behind home plate with a little press box, and one behind wooden bleachers. And, I mean, I remember, nobody really said anything when you didn't know any better. That's what you knew, And, now you look at the high school fields and, and it started then. I think in '87, we went to the World Series in '86, and that was a very, very talented team. It's just that we had never been. And it was a long season. I think we got, a little worn out probably. It's just so much. And we go back in '87 with not as good a team, but we make the World Series. Now, we could really pitch. I mean, we really could pitch in '87, but I think that's kind of when it built, because we went back to back, and we showed that it wasn't just a fluke. that he was actually building something. Then 88, they had a little down. Then 89, they go back with Ben. Then after that, it just kind of took off.
Was 87, was that you, Lasanic, and Ben?
No, that was 89.
Okay.
And 87 was Guthrie again, and me and Dan Kite. You had Barry. And Ben and Russell Springer were freshmen on that team.
Gotcha.
And, Stan Lohr was another one. I mean, we could pitch pretty good. And, Coach Burtman blames me and Jack Voigt. He still says that in 1988 we were supposed to come back, or we both got drafted and signed, and we were supposed to come back in 88. And he said we cost, that was our fault.
A lot of
bad year they had in '88.
That's great. A lot of people inside the huddle remembering days of your dad's tailgate. I heard some stories yesterday when I was having you on, telling about how cool is it this weekend, just from an ex-player of Skip and Mike Martin sharing this weekend together.
Well, I follow college baseball. I mean, naturally, I watch every LSU game. I don't go out as much as I should probably, but I follow them. And Mike Martin, I always pull for the guy. Guy's been there so many times.
Yeah.
He's just a good baseball man. I mean, personally, I don't know him. You just follow his career and you follow what he's done. You don't have many people say any bad things about him. I think he's done it the right way. You want him to win a national championship. And so now he goes through the regional. Now he's at LSU. And I'm like, well, no, sorry, man. I'm not pulling for you.
Right.
I mean, but it's just great because those two guys are legends. And, I mean, it's an incredible weekend, LSU against Florida State. I mean, when we were growing up, when college baseball first started, kind of really got popular in the 80s and early 90s, I mean, that was the two teams. And even though Florida State never won the College World Series, they've been, 20-something times. I don't know. They're just at the top of college baseball, and he pulled it off again. He's always got great players. I mean, if you look back at the guys that played there, it's just incredible. I mean, it's unbelievable that he hasn't won one. I think you were talking to somebody yesterday, just showing how hard it is to win that, how hard it is to win the College World Series and make that run and go all the way through it, because he's had the teams and he's a good enough coach. He should have won one. And Coach Burtman's got 5 and Coach Beneri's got 1. I mean, it's a great weekend. It's a great weekend for college baseball. I can't imagine how many people are going to be out there. I know it's going to be full, and how many people are going to be trying to get in the stadium. I mean, it's just it's a good thing for LSU.
It's a great weekend for Baton Rouge coming up as